One, 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 one. 1, 2.
Yeah. I don't know if he's going to be right here, but whoever it is, like, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to wait about 5 minutes.
One, one, two, 1, 2, 1, 2. Test, 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 test. Sound. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2.
some reason it doesn't, we'll come here. Yeah. It worked this morning. I have not tested it. It worked this morning. I mean, yeah, but at CBI, you never know, David.
Rabbi, it's 6 o'clock. What's wrong with my watch? No, seriously.
It's 8 minutes.
Which means we're late.
No, we're fine. We're fine. I accounted for all.
By the way, they never took the Shabbat morning set out here. Howard did.
Oh.
I couldn't understand.
Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. So we've rushed here from the final meal. The meal that we just had has a name. It's called Seudat Mafseket. It is the meal of Hafsakah, the meal that signals a break for us, a almost 25-hour break in food and drink and consumption. But that's because we're here to consume on the spiritual plane. And we have a real treat this evening that to welcome us into the mindset and the soulfulness and the work that we all need to do over these next 25 hours. We're delighted that Haley will be on the piano, accompanying CBI member Ben Rabunski, who and together they'll be performing for us the composition called Kol Nidre, composed by Max Bruch. So let's all give our attention and close your eyes or watch or allow yourselves to enter this most solemn day through this beautiful music.
We're so grateful to Haley and to our congregant Ben for giving us such a unique, beautiful way to enter this holiday of ours, this most sacred, solemn day. Just before the Galils light our Yontif candles, I'm going to light a Yizkor candle. We light this Yizkor candle, as many of you perhaps did at home before arriving here this evening. And we think this year not only of those in our own families who have passed, our dearly beloved relatives who no longer walk this earth, but in lighting this tonight, we think of all those of the house of Israel who have perished in this last year, particularly since October 7th. Civilians, those in the IDF, everyone in Israel we hold dear, so many bereaved families. And throughout Yom Kippur, this Yizkor candle will be here, and in that way we'll be connected to them, and perhaps a little bit of them will feel comfort knowing that they're connected to us. So if you'd like to follow along with the candle lighting, it's on page 199 in your machzors, page 199.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, שהחיינו Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher קידשנו במצוותיו, וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת ושל יום הכיפורים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Amen. Amen. Good Yontiv, everyone. And now with our Yontif candles lit, I'm going to welcome CBI President Henry Bloom to ascend the bima. And we want to recognize all of our past presidents. Our past presidents of this beloved congregation: Barry Allen, Seymour Beneroff, Steve Brown, Mariella Markellis Dibner, Naomi Eisenberger, Jonathan Engel, David Good, Shelley Greenholtz, Nan Greenwald, Bob Marcus, Jamie Peteshin, Linda Sotnick, Joe Tenenbaum, and David Tauger. Those of you who are past presidents, who are with us here in the sanctuary, and if you'd like to this evening hold a Torah, let me invite you to also ascend up to the bima. So just before Henry opens the ark, we'll give everyone just another moment seated here. Middle of page 204, middle of 204, Cantor Wallach will lead us in Or Zarua Latzadik.
Or Zarua Latzadik, Uleishrei Leiv Simcha. Or Zarua Latzadik, Uleishrei Leiv Simcha. Or Zarua Latzadik, Uleishrei Leiv Simcha. Or Zarua Latzadik, Uleishrei Leiv Simcha.
Bottom of 204, by the authority of the court on high, by the authority of this court below, with divine consent and with the consent of this congregation, we grant permission to pray with those who have transgressed. Henry, you can open the ark, and let's rise.
Yeshiva shel mana uvishiva shel mata al dat hamakom ve'al dat hakal anu matirin להתפלל עם העבריינים. ישיבה של מעלה וישיבה של מטה על דעת המקום ועל דעת הקהל אנו מתירים להתפלל עם העבריינים.
Kol Nidre, page 205.
Kol Nidre ve'esarei v'charamei ve'konamei ve'chinuyei ve'kinusei ושבועות דין דרנה ודש טבנה ודחרימנה ודסרנה נפשתנה מיום כיפורים זה עד יום כיפורים הבא עלינו לטובה שביתין מטלין ומבוטלין לשרירין ולקיימין נדרנה la nibrei ve'esarana la esarei ushevuatana la shevuat.
Forgiveness is not forgetting. We forgive not because we believe that what was done was unimportant, but because we are prepared to put aside our anger long enough to hear words which reflect remorse and regret, long enough to begin to believe that people have the potential to grow. Charles Klein.
Kol Nidre ve'esarei v'charamei ve'konamei ve'chinuyei ve'kinusei ushevuot. Din darna udeish tabana udea charimena vidasarna al naf shatana miyom kippurim zeh ad yom kippurim haba aleinu letova kol hon icharatna vehon kol hon yehon sharan shvikin shvitin betalin umevutalin la sharirin vela kayamin nidrana la nibrei vesarana la esarei ushevuatana la shevuot. Kol Nidre ve'esarei v'charamei ve'konamei יכרתנה והון כל הון יון שרן שוויקין שוויתין בתהילין ומבוטלין לשרירין ולקיימין נגרנה נדרי וסרנה לאסרי ושבועתה אנה לשבוע.
We'll replace the scrolls in the ark, but we'll keep the ark open as the choir leads us in Vinislach.
סלח נא לעוונם הזה כגודל חסדך וכאשר נסעת לים הזה ממצרים ועד הנה ושם נאמר
ויאמר
close the ark. Then you may be seated. We're going to turn the page and go right into the Psalm for Shabbat on the top of 206.
Mizmor shir, leyom ha-Shabbat. Mizmor shir, leyom ha-Shabbat. Tov leodot, Tzadik katamar yifrach ke'erez ba'levanon yizkor shetulim beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu ot yenuvun beseva deshenim verananim le'agid ki yashar Adonai tzuri velo avlata
Sarah, it's always the sweetest when we can first hear from our youth, from our teens. You're not such a youth anymore, you're growing up. Here you are, a senior in high school. You're president of our teen USY chapter, and we are delighted, Sarah, to welcome you to offer some remarks on behalf of the teens of this congregation.
Shana Tova. My name is Sarah Dibner, and I am president of the Milburn USY, which is a part of our all-encompassing teen programming here at CBI. Today, I want to talk about the vital role USY plays in fostering a sense of connection and belonging among our teens, especially in times of need. In a chaotic and isolating world, USY serves as a refuge for Jewish teens, drawing us closer to one another and the greater CBI community. First, let's consider the unique challenges facing young Jews today. We navigate an increasingly complex social landscape where feelings of isolation can be overwhelming. The importance of a supportive community cannot be overstated. This is where USY shines, creating a safe space for us to explore our identities, express our faith, and develop meaningful relationships. USY activities are not merely social gatherings, they are transformative experiences. Through shared activities, whether it's attending youth group Shabbat, participating in our Seder and Israel Night, or engaging in fun educational programs, Jewish teens have found a sense of purpose and belonging. Moreover, USY provides crucial support during difficult times. When faced with the atrocities of October 7th, USY became a source of comfort and strength. It fostered an environment where we could share struggles and find solace among peers who understand our experiences. In these moments, the bonds formed through common experiences are unbreakable, reminding us that we are never alone. Additionally, the leadership opportunities within USY empower Jewish teens to take an active role in our community. By organizing events, leading discussions, and participating in decision-making, we develop essential life skills and a sense of security in our connection to Judaism. This empowerment not only reinforces our connection to our synagogue, but also cultivates the next generation of leaders within our community. In times of need, it is these very connections that sustain our youth. We learn the importance of giving back, of standing together in solidarity, and of supporting one another through difficult times. As we look to the future, let us continue to invest in USY, recognizing its crucial role in shaping the Jewish identities of our teens. By fostering a sense of belonging and connection, you empower us, not just to navigate our challenges, but to emerge as confident, compassionate leaders of our community. In closing, I urge each of you to support our USY and to encourage your teens to participate. Together, we can ensure that the next generation feels a deep and lasting connection to CBI, Israel, and the Jewish community. I hope you all have an easy fast and Gemar Chatima Tova.
Yasher Koach, Sarah. Thank you so much for sharing some words with us this evening, and we wish you a wonderful year ahead. I'm going to invite the congregation to rise. We'll turn to page 207 for the Baruch Hu, leading into the Shema. You may be seated.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני המריב הרבים אהבת עולם בית ישראל כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה ואהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד ואתה היית אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך והיה עם שעות ברכות. Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Middle of 210 at the red cursor.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה מרים ובני ישראל לחנו שירה לשמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש מלכותך ראו בניך בוקיים לפני משה זה לי אנו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב ובגללו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
All right, I'm going to speak now, and I want to remind the congregation that any Shabbat, any high holiday sermon, you know, I'm here to present views, maybe to challenge a bit, maybe to push a bit, but I want to remind you that each of you has a sacred place here in this community, and even if you have views or positions that might differ from mine, it doesn't mean that they are not valid, and it doesn't mean that I don't want to hear them. That I'm always open to hearing your views and being challenged by what you have to say, and maybe even being moved in a direction, just as I hope you'll keep an open mind as you hear my views. Anybody here fly into Israel at some point in the last 20 years? 20 years, that's a long time. A lot of hands, okay. What terminal do you land in when you get to Ben Gurion, do you know? Terminal 3. Most flights from abroad land at Terminal 3. Terminal 3 is a marvelous architectural phenomenon. It's incredible design. It was built by famed Israeli architect Moshe Safdie. The new terminal opened in 2004, but little did Safdie know that it would forever alter one of the most long-standing customs within our tradition. With this new terminal came modernized jet bridges, perfect for convenience. So as of 2004, one could disembark from the plane and access the terminal directly. No more stairs, no more shuttle buses, no more hordes of people herding their way from one area to the next. So what was lost in 2004? What Jewish custom? What tradition? That's exactly right, kissing the ground. Think about it. Think back to your first visit to Israel, back to your pre-2004 trips. Descending from the plane onto the tarmac, the first thing so many of us would do is we would get down and we would kiss the ground. Never mind that it was a tarmac with jet fuel and all of that. Because it was Eretz Yisrael. Though jet bridges and security have curbed the ground kissing, we continue to find other ways to acknowledge this special journey. Planes often erupt in applause upon landing at Ben Gurion. And if you ever find yourself on a flight with people making aliyah, spontaneous hora dancing occurs in the terminal right in front of the gate. Even to this day, it is no ordinary flight, and it is no ordinary destination. Just how old is the custom of kissing the ground, of an intense emotional reaction upon reaching Eretz Yisrael? The rabbis of the Talmud try to one-up each other in their stories about their own experiences doing precisely that. So you'll remember that the Romans destroyed the Second Temple and sent most of the Jewish community into exile in Baghdad, okay, what's modern-day Baghdad. The community integrated very well into life in Babylonian Baghdad. They spoke the local language, Aramaic. They contributed to society. They worked hard. They were happy to be there. The rabbis who compiled the Talmud did so proudly, not in Hebrew, but in Aramaic. And in fact, the Mourner's Kaddish is still, to this day, in Aramaic, because it was composed during that flourishing period of ours in Babylonian Baghdad. Still, deep within the soul of each Babylonian Jew was a yearning for Israel. Those with means would even attempt the journey as early as the 3rd and 4th centuries. Often, the community would help fund the rabbi's journey to Israel. I guess some things don't change. Yeah. And so there it is, on a page of the Talmud in Tractate Ketubot, that we find various 3rd and 4th century rabbis arguing about who had the better story for what they did upon arriving. I'm going to read directly. These are excerpts directly from the Talmud. When Rabbi Zerah ascended to Eretz Yisrael, he could not find a ferry to cross the Jordan River. So he took hold of a rope that was strung across as a makeshift bridge, and he crossed the Jordan that way. Someone saw him doing this and said to him, "Why couldn't you just wait a little longer to cross the river by ferry?" And Rabbi Zerah said to him, "This is a place where Moses and Aaron did not merit entering. God denied them entry. Who is to say that I will merit seeing this land? I hurried across before anything might occur to prevent my entrance into Eretz Yisrael." So there is Rabbi Zerah essentially ziplining his way from Jordan into Israel. It's hard to beat that entrance. Rabbi Abba would kiss the rocks of Akko when he arrived. Rabbi Hanina would repair the stumbling blocks so that travelers would not fall and consequently speak ill of Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Asi, they would stand and pass from a sunny spot to a shady spot, from a shady spot to a sunny spot, so on and so forth, so that they would always sit in comfort and never have cause to remark that they were too schwitzy in Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Chia Bar Gamda would roll in the dust of the land, as it states in the Psalms, "For your servants take pleasure in her stones and love her dust." Israel and the Jews share a love story that is 3,800 years old, and like all loves, it is an affair of the heart. It has both 100 good reasons and none whatsoever at the same time. And that is why brilliant rabbis would swoon like love-struck teenagers when they saw this land. My dear congregants, Israel is where we came from. Practically every 5th page of our prayer book contains some prayer of longing for that land, some sentiment of heartache, as the rabbis imagined it lying destitute until our return. The matriarch Rachel is buried on the side of the road southeast of Jerusalem so that her soul would comfort us as tyrants and colonizers and emperors and kings banished us from our land. Without access to our land for 2,000 years, we relied on our ingenuity. We relied on our pragmatism, our ability to develop meaning and ritual and community without our land as the core anchor. But let's not confuse that with the misinformed argument that the land is now divorced from our tradition, or no longer as core a part of our identity, our peoplehood, our ritual. We all pick and choose the Jewish customs and rituals that are most meaningful to each of us. We do this individually. For some of us, that will mean a stronger connection to Israel. For others, perhaps the emphasis will be on other aspects of our Jewish identity. But when considering the totality of all the pieces that make up the unique Jewish people and practice, there is no Jewish people as we know it, or as we knew it historically, without the centrality of Eretz Yisrael. And on this night of confessions, I must confess that I too swoon like a love-struck teenager whenever I'm in Israel. And there is no limit to what I would put on the line in order to be there and in order to defend Israel. I love Israel and the people of Israel as I would my closest relative. And we all know the connection between love and pain and family, which is also why October 7th, 2023, and this entire year since, has been so heartbreaking on multiple levels. My heart has been aching. And tonight I want to share with you 4 aspects of my heartache. First, it's been noted that October 7th was the deadliest day for world Jewry since the Holocaust. That's right. And as celebrated Jewish thinker Yossi Klein Halevi eloquently responds to that comparison, he says, and I quote, "So what?" Now let me explain. Yes, that is an awfully tragic reality, but it's not the most tragic statistic because, says Klein Halevi, it is not the right comparison. After all, we were defenseless during the Holocaust. What could we do to defend ourselves? The right comparison is that October 7th was the deadliest day in the 120 years of Arab-Jewish conflict and the deadliest day since the State of Israel was established. Therein lies my heartbreak. The post-Holocaust era of the last 8 decades was defined by optimism about the Jewish future. However improbable, we had emerged stronger than ever from the event intended to destroy us. And for all of its fluctuations, the post-Holocaust trajectory pointed forward. The establishment of the State of Israel had one mandate, one purpose more paramount than every other: to protect world Jewry. Yes, Israel is a democracy like all other democracies and is therefore a nation to all of its citizens, but it is the homeland of the Jewish people. And if a Jew was in distress anywhere in the world, Israel's promise was that it would protect and defend and save us. We go through 2,000 years of Jewish history. We finally come home. We build a country, an army, sovereignty, a high-tech defense system, and boom, we realize it's not ending. They still want us destroyed, and they have the capacity to do it. Just heartbreaking. Second, the hostages. There is only one entity fundamentally culpable for the hostages being where they are today and not yet back home, and that is Hamas. It is incomprehensible that for over a year, the 100 remaining hostages, hopefully many of them still alive, are in tunnels without air, without sunlight, without enough food and water, being neglected and abused. And I think that it could have been any one of us And that's the pain that I feel also at my core. It's the pain of peoplehood. As Rabbi Michal Biton puts it, there is no war against one part of us that isn't a war on all of us. It could have been us, and partly it is. What also pains me about this is the attitude of some within the right wing in Israel who posture that there are perhaps different strategic goals worth pursuing at the expense of the hostages. I don't want to comment on the political or military strategy and how the hostages factor into those calculations, but what I can say is that our Jewish tradition is clear. One of the greatest mitzvot is pidyon shvu'im, securing the release of captives. And with 100 of our brethren really within reach, and we just can't seem to pull them out of the darkness back to light, my heart breaks for them and for the thousands of bereaved families, of injured, of psychologically and emotionally scarred. My third point of heartache, and I ask that you bear with me through the entirety of this point. My heart aches and longs for innocence, for a time when we did not have the agency that we have today. It's not that I rationally really want to go back to a time before we had the state and before we had the IDF, but my heart partly longs for that time when we could claim complete innocence, when we were the poor, old, weak Jew. Yossi Klein Halevi taught on this specific topic over the summer, and he used a text that perfectly describes what I mean by longing for innocence. In the 11th century, a Jewish book was written by Yehuda Halevi. The book is called the Kuzari. Yehuda Halevi, he lived in the Arab world, and he wrote the book in Arabic. And in the Kuzari, he describes how the king of the Khazars once invited representatives of each of the three major religions to come before the king to explain their religious beliefs. Okay, so one by one, the religious representatives come in, and when it was time for the rabbi to speak, the rabbi said to the king, "We, Judaism, we are the best religion because we are the most moral religion. We don't kill anyone, and we are peaceful." The king said to the rabbi, "You can talk, Rabbi, but come back to me when you have an army." Perhaps now we finally understand what the king meant. In 1945, we made the decision, the Jewish people made the decision to go for power. Powerlessness and victimhood had become untenable for us. And going for power after 2,000 years, I think, was one of the greatest moments of Jewish history. We decided to go for it. But one of the consequences of power is giving up the identity of being the enduring victim. We cannot have it both ways. We can no longer claim complete innocence. We can no longer claim, as the rabbi did in the Kuzari, that we don't kill anyone. Yes, we yearn for peace. Yes, we believe that we have morality on our side, but we are not, in our day, a pacifist people. If all those who wish us dead simply put down their weapons, we too would turn our swords into plowshares. We aspire for it, but we will defend ourselves with might and power. On October 7th, we were victims, and we were victims for one day, that one day. But starting on October 8th, the entire people of Israel made a deliberate decision to push back, to go to war and to not allow Jewish victimhood to stand. We know here in this sanctuary that the Middle East can be a brutal region. The things that we need to do in that region to survive can at times appear on the surface as an affront to Western ideals. I think I've come to appreciate that somewhat. And don't get me wrong, I have no ambivalence. Israel's war is a just war. It is a moral war. And the eradication of the Islamist proxies on Israel's borders is paramount and might even lead to a greater peace. Israel is doing what any other nation on earth would do, and it's no easy feat. Attacking an enemy like Hamas or Hezbollah that does not give fair fight, that hides in tunnels surrounded by civilians, that uses its own people as human shields, that has an obsessive lust for Jewish blood. All of this makes for impossible choices. And the IDF has done remarkably in the arena of urban warfare. But with power and an army, there is no such thing as perfection, even for the IDF. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza is real. Children in Gaza have been killed in the crossfire from IDF bullets and bombs. I am heartbroken that my Israeli brothers and sisters, who I love so much, have no choice in our day but to use military force. And in the fog of war, whether it's an honest mistake or the rush of adrenaline or an extremist ideology, regretful actions happen. Not daily, but they happen. An innocent child killed by an IDF bomb alongside her Hamas commander grandfather. It is ultimately Hamas's fault, and it is unavoidable. The legal blame for that child's death rests with Hamas, but my goodness, it is heartbreaking. And maybe that's why, in some even irrational way, I long for the innocence of the powerless Jew. I long for sympathy from the world. I really want sympathy from the world. Dara Horn has written about this, that if sympathy from the world is only offered to dead Jews, well then, God forbid, we should ever find ourselves powerless again. I would rather suffer the consequences of our power. I would rather have morality on my side, even just 80% of the time, if it means my survival. If that's the trade-off for having sovereignty and an army, I will take it, even though the entire situation is just so heartbreaking. And finally, number 4, my heart breaks for all those here in America, whether on college campuses, in progressive spaces, or anywhere that Jew hatred reaches, who have endured, it's really a tsunami of Jew hatred here at home in a most stunning way. The FBI, maybe you saw this, released its hate crime stats for last year. We know that the Jewish community makes up 2% of the US population, but we were the target of 68% of all reported religion-based hate crimes. My heart breaks for our fractured, and what we now understand was only a conditional alliance with American progressivism. You know, we Jews, we stood with progressive causes. Many of us in this sanctuary did. We helped the progressives in defeating the 2018 anti-trans bathroom ballot initiative. We elevated Black Lives Matter. One of the very first things that Gila and I did when we moved to Melbourne in June 2020 was we walked with you all at a Black Lives Matter rally. We were there for them.
We flew pride flags. We host Pride Shabbat. We don knitted pink hats to stand for women's rights. Every time progressives ask for help with canvassing, donating, phone banking, Jewish friends on the left show up. We understand that war and progressive values aren't usually aligned, but ours is a defensive war, so we had hoped that progressives would be there for us during our time of need. And it's heartbreaking to me that they are not. My heart breaks because important terms like genocide, colonialism, apartheid, racism, they have critical historical applications and importance that have been sullied in an attempt to paint Israel as the world's greatest evil. My heart aches for the Jewish students who have to hide or be ostracized, who have to wake up every morning with the reality that just walking across campus to class is an act of courage, much like walking into a synagogue on Shabbat in this country. It has become an act of courage. So how do we mend a broken heart? How do we mend a broken heart? There's a phrase coined by educator and author Parker Palmer, and the phrase is this: standing in the tragic gap. Standing in the tragic gap. And on one side of that gap, we see the realities of today. We see the war, the loss, the pain, the lies adopted as truth and truth dismissed as lies. And on the other side of that gap, we see hope. Not hope as in dreams or fantasies, but hope as real world possibilities. We have experienced moments of peace in our lifetime. So we have hope that if we've experienced it before, we can attain it again. Our hope is rooted in realities that we can achieve. Take Israel's northern farmlands, countless acres of Israeli farmland that's been burnt to the ground from rockets. But we also know how to plant those very fields. We've done it before. We can see the hope, the possibility of planting them once more. This is a hope that isn't about some Messiah coming to rescue us. It's a hope about ourselves, our resolve, and our commitment. I was moved by a piece published by Edith Klein, who runs the organization Keshet out of Boston. She wrote about how hope has always been her inner compass. As the granddaughter of Holocaust survivors, she grew up with a sense that anything was possible because they had survived the impossible. And even more astoundingly, they rebuilt lives of love and joy. And actually, Rachel Goldberg, mother of Hirsch, recently in an interview said something very similar, said she intends to live a life of joy and to live life fully because if people who came out of Auschwitz somehow found the hope and were able to even laugh and make something of their lives, then she was inspired to try to do the same. The root of the word hope, or in Hebrew tikva, is kav. Kav in Hebrew is a line or a thread, a continuum. My dear friend, my colleague Rabbi Annie Tucker, drew my attention to the David Grossman text that describes this kav, this continuum, as an anchor extending from a dark, scary, unknown place towards something far better and brighter. In Grossman's words, when the anchor is cast, it takes host of the future. And human beings, sometimes an entire society, begin to pull themselves toward it. Hope, in this sense, is not something naive. It is active and dynamic, and it finds its strength in the understanding that our behaviors
have the ability to bring about change in this world for good. We pull ourselves toward hope through our actions. The early pioneers didn't just hope to reestablish Jewish sovereignty. They built and toiled and lobbied and fundraised and sacrificed. Hope inspired their actions, and then their progress inspired new hope. We are too small a people to think that someone else is going to do it. Throughout this past difficult year, so many of us have understood that it must be us. Our sense of peoplehood has been rejuvenated and our commitment fortified. Later this evening, you will hear from David Tauger about the many ways our own community has acted out of hope and love over this past year, and you'll hear ways we can continue to act out of hope and love. For every one of my heartbreaks, something hopeful can be done to mend it. If morality is currently on our side just 80% of the time, how do we work to make it closer to 100%? How do we prevent extremist voices from influencing Israeli policy? If our prayers this evening can blast open those tunnels in Gaza, freeing our hostages, well then let us sing tonight like never before. If the actions we have to undertake in the Middle East to ensure deterrence are at odds with progressive values, well, let's stand up for the IDF and let's remind progressives that our army was built on defense and literally has an olive branch in its emblem as a sign of peace. Let's work to shore up support for Israel here in the United States. Tonight, I stand, as we all do, in the tragic gap. And out of one window, I see all that breaks my heart. Out of the other window, I see an attainable opportunity for a different outcome. We're at a critical point to become who we want to be. And we know we can get there because we have before. We are here to heed the call. And at the end of the day, we know ourselves and we know our people. And we know that we stand for a world of peace, a world of tranquility, a world of safety for us and for all who seek it. So let's sing for peace at nighttime. Hashkivenu, page 211.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim. Uferos aleinu sukat shlomecha Uferos aleinu sukat shlomecha Baruch atah Adonai Haporeis sukkah Shalom aleinu Ve'al kol amo Yisrael Ve'al Yerushalayim.
Please rise. 212 Vishamru.
Veshamru
Bnei Yisrael Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל
ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם.
ושמרו
בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את
השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
כי ביום הזה יכפר עליכם, לטהרתכם מכל חטאותיכם, לפני אדוני תתארו. יתקדר ויתקדש שמי רבה, ויעלמד יברך ירתי, וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי כל בית ישראל. בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם לעולמי עולמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה לעילה, מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירם בעולמה ויאמרו Amen.
We'll take a few moments individually, privately, for the Amidah, 213 through 221. We all pray at different paces. There's no rush, take your time, and as you come out of your Amidah, join us on 222.
ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו כיוון שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו אלוהי אברהם אלוהי יצחק אלוהי יעקב אלוהי שרה אלוהי רבקה אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה אל הגדול הגיבור ונורא עליון קוני שמיים וארץ מגן אבות בדברו מחיי מתים במאמרו המלך הקדוש שאין כמוהו המניח לימו ביום שבת קודשו כיוון רצה להניח להם כיוון רצה להניח להם לפניו נעבוד ביראה ופחד ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד מעון הברכות ההודות אדון השלום מקדש השבת ומברך שביעי ומניח בקדושה להעמיד שני יונק זכר למעשה בראשית.
Join me in English, bottom of 222. Our God and God of our ancestors, embrace our rest. Make us holy through your mitzvot. Let the Torah be our portion. Fill our lives with your goodness and gladden us with your triumph. Purify our hearts to serve you faithfully. Adonai, our God, grant that we inherit your holy Shabbat, lovingly and willingly, so that the people of Israel, who sanctify your name, may find rest on this day. Baruch atah Adonai, who makes Shabbat holy. We're going to turn the page and we'll invite Ruth Kirshner and Bruce Novick to open the ark for Ya'aleh.
יעלה תחנוננו מערב ויבוא שבתנו מבוקר וירא רינוננו עד ערב יעלה קולנו מערב ויבוא צדקתנו מבוקר וירא
Ruth and Bruce will close the ark, and then you may be seated. Top of 225.
הנשמה לך והגוף הלך חוסה חוסה על המלך הנשמה לך והגוף שלך אדוני עושה למען שמך.
Top of 226. אל הרפאים אתה ובעל הרחמים נקראת ודרך תשובה הורית גדולת רחמך וחסדיך תזכור היום חום יום זה ידידך תפן אלינו רחמך כי אתה הוא ברחמים ותחנון ותהילה פניך נקדם כהודעת לעיניו מקדם מחרון אפך שוב כמו בתורתך כתוב ובצל כנפיך נחסד נתלונן כי יום וירד אדוני בענן תעבור על פשע ותמחה אשם כי יום ויתייצב עמו שם תאזין שבתנו ותקשיב ממנו מעמל כי יום ויקרא בשם Adonai. Please rise. Bottom of 226.
ויעבור אדוני על פניו ויקרא אדוני אדוני אל רחום וחנון ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת נוצר חסד לאלפים נושא עוון ופשע וחטא ונקי וסלחת לעווננו ולחטאתנו ונחלתנו סלח לנו אבינו כי חטאנו מחל לנו מלכנו כי פשענו כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח ורב חסד לכל קוראיך ורב חסד לכל קוראיך.
227. We're going to open the ark, inviting Jamie and Judy Beneroff up to the bima. As clay in the hand of the potter, recall your covenant with us, God.
כי הנה כך אומר ביד היוצר ברצותו מרחיב וברצותו מקצר כן אנחנו בידך חסד נוצר לברית הבית והתפן ליצר כי הנה כאבן ביד המסתה ברצותו אוחז וברצותו Labrita beit, labrita beit, ve'al teifen la'yetzer, ki hine kahege, beyad hamalach, birtzoto oches, u'birtzoto shilach, kein אנחנו בידך אל הטוב וסלח לברית הבית, לברית הבית, ואל תפן ליצר, כי הנה הזכוכית ביד המזגג, ברצותו חוגג, וברצותו ממוגג, כן אנחנו בידך מוכר זדון ושקר, לברית הבית, לברית הבית, ואל תפן ליצר, כי הנה קריאה ביד הרוקד, ברצותו מיישר, וברצותו מייקים, כן אנחנו בידך אלקנה ונוקים, לברית הבית,
לברית הבית,
ואל תפן ליצר, כי הנה ככסף ביד הצורף, ברצותו משגשג, וברצותו מצרף, כן אנחנו בידך ממציא למזור טרף, לברית הבית, לברית הבית, ואל תפן ליצר.
Page 229. We're going to remain standing, but Jamie can close the ark. Thank you, Jamie.
המלך יושב על כיסא רחמים, מתנהג בחסידות, מוחל עוונות עמו, מעביר ראשון, מעביר ראשון, מה במחילה, מחילה לחטאים, וסליחה לפושעים, עושה צדקות, עושה צדקות, עם כל בשר, בשר ורוח, לא חרתם תגמול, לא חרתם תגמול, די 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 די, ים די 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 די, יי די 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 אל הורית לנו לומר 13 זכור לנו היום ברית 13 כמו שידעת לנה מקדם, כמו שכתוב וירד אדוני בענן ויתייצב עמו שם ויקרא בשם אדוני.
ויעבור אדוני וסלח, ורב חסד ורב חסד לכל קוראיך.
You may be seated. Let's turn to page 231, the bottom half of 231. The world is full of your glory, God, but sometimes it is hard to find you. Yana emtsacha mekomcha na'aleh v'ne'elam, v'ana lo emtsacha kvodcha malei olam. Kvodcha malei olam, kvodcha malei olam. Yana emtsacha kvodcha malei olam. Darashti kirvatecha chol libi keraticha, uvtzeiti likratecha likrati metzaticha. Kevodcha malei olam, kevodcha malei olam. Yanecha emtsacha, kevodcha malei olam. We'll rise for one more Adonai, Adonai, middle of 232. כמו שכתוב, וירא אדוני בענן, ויתייצב עמו שם, ויקרא בשם אדוני, ויעבור אדוני על פניו, ויקרא.
אדוני, אדוני, רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע וחטא ונקה, וסלחת על עווננו ולחטאתנו ונחלתנו. סלח לנו אבינו כי חטאנו, מחל לנו מלכנו כי פשענו. כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח, כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח, כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח, ורב חסד ורב חסד לכל קוראיך.
Sharon and Mark Richmond will open the ark as we prepare for Shema Kolenu on 233. Let's read at the top of 233 in English. Grant atonement and purify us this day, as it is written in the Torah. For on this day atonement shall be made for you, to purify you from all your transgressions. In the presence of Adonai you shall be pure. Bring us to your holy mountain. Make us joyful in your house of prayer. As Isaiah prophesied, for my house shall be called a house of prayer for all people.
Shema, Shema, Kolenu. Shema, Shema, Kolenu. Shema, Shema, Kolenu. Shema, Shema, Shema. Shema Koleinu Shema Koleinu Adonai Eloheinu Chus v'rachem Chus v'rachem Aleinu v'kabel ברחמים וברצון את תפילתנו.
Shema Koleinu, Adonai Eloheinu, V'sachem Aleinu, v'kabrachim tzod v'yalteinu.
Shema, Shema, Koleinu. Shema, Shema, Koleinu. Shema, Shema, Koleinu. Shema, 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 Shema. Hashivenu Adonai lecha v'nashuva Chadesh yameinu kekeder
Hashiveinu, Adonai lechem nashuva, chadesh yameinu, kekerem.
Shema, Shema, Koleinu. Shema, Shema, Koleinu. Shema, Shema, Koleinu. Shema, 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 Shema. Al tashlichenu milfanecha v'rach kodshecha al tikach mimenu
Al tashlichenu milfanecha beruach kodshecha tikach mimenu.
Shema, Shema, Koleinu. Shema, Shema, Koleinu. Shema, Shema, Koleinu. Shema, 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 תשתשליכנו לעת זקנה ככלות כוחנו אל תעזבנו.
אל תשליכנו לעת זקנה, ככלות כוחנו אל תעזבנו. Sharon Mark.
Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu, Al tazveinu ve'al tichenu, ve'al tachlimeinu ve'al tafer bitcha itanu. Kol Nidre למדנו בית מצוותיך, הורינו דרכיך. האט ליבנו ליראת שמך, ומול את לבבינו לאהבתך. ונשוב אליך באמת ובלב שלם.
You may be seated for a quick respite in your seats. Bottom of 233 into Ki Anu Amecha on 234.
ולמען שמך הגדול תמחל ותסלח לעווננו, ככתוב בדברי קודשך. למען שמך אדוני, וסלחת לעווני, כי רב הוא. Eloheinu, Ve'Elohei Avoteinu, Slach lanu, Mechal lanu, Kaper lanu, Ki anu amecha ve'ata Eloheinu.
הזפנים ואתה רחום וחנון, ננו קשי עורף ואתה רבאים, אנו לעוון ואת המלא רחמים, אנו מקצה רובע ואתה ולשונאך, לא יטעמו. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, תבוא לפניך תפילתנו ואל תתעלם מתחינתנו, שאנחנו הזפנים שיעוף לומר לפניך. אדוני אלוהינו, צדיקים אנחנו ולא חטאנו, אבל אנחנו ואבותינו ואימותינו חטאנו. Let's rise, 235. Kizavnu, Lahatznu, Maradenu, Niatznu, Sararnu, Avinu, Pashanu, Sararnu, Kishinu Oreh. Rashanu, Shichatnu, Tiavnu, Tainu, Titanu, Sound bottom of 236, the Hebrew letter Hey. Let's read together in English. You know the mysteries of the universe, the deepest secrets of everyone alive. You probe our innermost depths. You examine our thoughts and feelings. Nothing escapes you. Nothing is secret from you. Therefore, may it be your will, our God, God of our ancestors, to forgive us for all our sins, to pardon us for all our iniquities, to grant us atonement for all of our transgressions. 237.
על חטא שחטא לפניך באונס ורצון, ועל חטא שחטא לפניך באימוץ הלב, על חטא שחטא לפניך במודעת, ועל חטא שחטא לפניך בביטוי שפתיים, על חטא שחטא לפניך בגלויות, ועל חטא שחטא לפניך בגלויות סתר, על חטא שחטא לפניך בדעת ונרמה, ועל חטא שחטא לפניך בדיבור פה, על חטא שחטא לפניך בעונת רעה, ועל חטא שחטא לפניך בארהור הלב, על חטא שחטא לפניך בוועידת צניעות, ועל חטא שחטא לפניך בווידוי פה, על חטא שחטא לפניך בזלזול הורים ומורים, ועל חטא שחטא לפניך בזדון ובשגגה, על חטא שחטא לפניך בחוזק יד, ועל חטא שחטא לפניך בחילול השם, על חטא שחטא לפניך בתמימת שפתיים, ועל חטא שחטא לפניך בטיפשות פה, על חטא שחטא לפניך ביצר הרע, ועל חטא שחטא לפניך ביודעים ובלא יודעים, ועל כולם אלוהי סליחה, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, כפר לנו.
על חטא שחטא לפניך בחס וחס, חטא שחטא לפניך בסחף השוחד, על חטא שחטא לפניך ברצון, חטא שחטא לפניך הרע, חטא שחטא לפניך במשא ומתן, חטא שחטא לפניך במאכל ומשתה, חטא שחטא לפניך בנחבא מידך, חטא שחטא לפניך בעניין גאון, חטא שחטא לפניך בשיח שפתותינו, אשר לפניך בשקוע עין, חטא שחטא לפניך בעיניים רמות, ועל חטא שחטא לפניך בעזות מצח, ועל כולם אלוהי סליחה, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, כפר לנו.
על חטא שחטא לפניך בפריקותו, ועל חטא שחטא לפניך בפרידות, על חטא שחטא לפניך בצניעת בריאה, ועל חטא שחטא לפניך בצרורות עין, על חטא שחטא לפניך בקלות ראש, ועל חטא שחטא לפניך בקשיות עורף, ועל חטא שחטא לפניך בריצת רגליים והרע, ועל חטא שחטא לפניך ברכילות, על חטא שחטא לפניך בשבועת שווא, ועל חטא שחטא לפניך בשנאת חינם, ועל חטא שחטא לפניך בתשומת יד, ועל חטא שחטא לפניך בתימהון לבב,
ועל כולם אלוהי סליחה, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, כפר לנו. You may be seated. It's tradition to
hear from a congregant on behalf of Israel Bonds and Israel, so we're going to welcome David Tauger to offer us some remarks this evening.
You'll excuse me from speaking from here, but my voice is a little sore from screaming for a team this week, so I'm a little hoarse. When Lisa Friedman, our chair of the Israeli Affairs Committee, asked me to make this presentation in support of Israel Bonds, it took me a while to decide what I would say this year, because obviously this year is a bit of unique times. I would venture to guess that almost all of you sitting here this evening support Israel, either from the right or the left of the political spectrum, and all of you value Israel's right to exist and defend itself. And nothing I say here tonight is going to change many of your minds in that regard. So what to say? Then I remembered many years ago hearing a rabbi tell me about a conversation he once had with Rabbi Harold Schulweis, one of the great conservative rabbis of his generation. Rabbi Schulweis told this rabbi, "I never give a sermon unless it makes clear to people what I hope they will do afterwards." In other words, there was no point in saying what people already think. Well, my goal during this speech is obvious. I want you to take some of that hard-earned money that you have and invest in Israel by buying Israel bonds. There is no doubt that Israel is a safe financial investment. They have never once defaulted on one of their bonds. And it is also true that there are many types of bonds at various levels of investments and length, that each of you could find one or more that meets your financial needs. But what is going to spur you to action? What am I going to say that makes you go out and actually invest and buy the bonds? Yes, I imagine that I could satisfy some on the side of the political spectrum and list a litany of complaints about Israel's politicians. Or I could aim to appease others and list lots of the stories of the heroism of October 7th, the evil of our enemies and their horrendous actions. To be sure, there was on October 7th, and since then, genuine heroism. Heroism that deserves to be honored, sanctified, and remembered forever. But here, too, I'd venture to guess everyone sitting here knows these stories. Yes, perhaps there's a particular story you haven't previously heard, but would it move you to invest? The CBI community has certainly invested in Israel this year and in the past, and will continue to do so in the future, and keep on the lookout for those events. Men's Club itself has times bought Israel bonds. We had a community trip to Israel led by our rabbi. We have helped sponsor an ambulance for the Magen David. Numerous members of our community have traveled to Israel this year, and we had a very large contingent of people attend the March on Washington and many more activities. But how to move each of you to buy those Israel bonds starting tomorrow? I thought long and hard about that question. I could tell you about Paula and my trip to Israel this summer, where I witnessed firsthand the greatness of the people of Israel. How whether they believe in their government or not, it has not stopped them from doing everything they can to survive and win this war. I could tell you about the patriotism that is palpable as you walk through the streets of not only Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, but even the small towns and villages. There are Israeli flags flying everywhere. I could tell you how the national bird of Israel has become the crane, as there are buildings rising everywhere you look, including Sderot, not 3 miles from the Gaza border, and that which was attacked on October 7th. There, too, Israelis are moving because they have an undying and insatiable love for their country. I could tell you how every Israeli I met thanked me for visiting Israel, even soldiers serving on the front lines in Gaza, to which I responded with complete embarrassment. I could tell you how Israelis have learned to live, not only live, but also function with the sounds of war being heard each day. I can tell you how Israel has begun to rebuild even now before the war is over. Kibbutzes like Erez, Alamim, and many more have all welcomed their people home. I visited Sderot. This nail that I'm holding, which I'm sure some of you can see, is from the destroyed police station in Sderot. I picked it up when I was there. And now, just 2 weeks ago, that police station is completely rebuilt and operational. So they are rebuilding. But again, you all know this, and many of you know many of us don't even own one Israeli bond. So please forgive this question. What will it take to get each of you to invest? We are not speaking of a charitable gift. We are speaking of a sound and profitable financial investment that will bring you profit in the end. You will receive a profitable return on your investment, and along the way, you will help Israel to continue to exist. This year, we have all been taught a new history lesson. We have been taught that the days of Jews hiding from marauding murderers in closets, Jewish women being raped by sadistic gangs, mothers and children being burned and bound in their own homes, Jewish homes being incinerated with Jews still trapped in them, and more was done on October 7th. All that was done in Europe in the mid-20th century and we thought was ended for good with the end of World War II, we learned is not true. It happened again, and this time in our homeland. We as American Jews believed that we had dodged anti-Semitism, that we as Jews were safe in this country to wear our Jewish stars, put mezuzot on our homes, pray in our synagogues, and go to any college we wanted safely and securely. We now know none of that is true. Jews are being attacked from New York City to LA and everywhere in between. Even schools like ours have been forced to hire security guards on a daily basis, and universities across the nation have become a haven for anti-Semitic actions. There is actually a court-authorized no Jewish zone at UCLA. There's obviously much more to say about the ways in which our history lessons have betrayed us. For now, here's the point. For as far as the eye can see, it is going to be much less pleasant, easy, or safe to be a Jew in our world. Whether on a kibbutz near Gaza or in New York City, we are going to think differently, fear differently. Never again will people go to the Gaza envelope and not at least worry, however momentarily. And it is going to be a very, very long time before a Jewish kid can go to Columbia and feel safe to walk through campus with a Jewish star or a t-shirt that has an Israeli flag on it. Israel and America are both deeply changed places, and in both, Jewish life is going to be hard. It's going to be scary, and it's going to mean taking risks. But let us not doubt for 1 minute that if Israel was not there, a crescent of democracy in the Middle East, our lives would be even harder and a lot less safe. Israel's existence makes our lives safer and guarantees our ability to survive as a people. And we as American Jews must invest in that premise. It does not matter what side of the political spectrum you fall on. I am not asking you to support the Israeli government. I am asking you to invest in Israel, the nation. Just like here in America, we buy American bonds, whether there is a Democrat or Republican in the White House or in control of our Congress, because we love America despite all its faults. I am asking you to invest in Israel because without it, your daily life will be diminished and much more dangerous. The Israeli spirit has not waned, despite the political turmoils that exist there, and neither should our support. The new generation of Israelis is just as patriotic and dedicated to the survival of their homeland as their parents' and grandparents' generations. As an example, one must look no further than the letters written by young soldiers who have been called into battle. Here is one that is demonstrative of all. It is written by Sergeant First Class Ben Zussman. He was a 22-year-old Jerusalemite who was a talented ping pong player, devoted sports fans, and loved by many. He was killed on December 3rd in Gaza. He writes, and I quote, "I am writing this message to you on my way to the base. If you're reading this, something probably happened to me. As you know me, I'm likely the happiest person right now. It's not for nothing that I was about to fulfill my dream soon. I am happy and grateful for the privilege I'll have to defend our beautiful country and the people of Israel. Even if something happens to me, I don't allow you to sink into sadness. I had the privilege to fulfill my dream and destiny and be sure that I'm looking down at you from above with a huge smile. I'll probably sit next to Grandpa and catch up, each of us sharing our experiences and how things have changed between wars. Maybe we'll also talk some politics, ask him what he thinks. If God forbid you're sitting Shiva, turn it into a week of friends, family, and fun. Have food, meat of course, beers, sweet drinks, seeds, tea, and definitely mom's cookies. Laugh, listen to stories, meet all my other friends you haven't met yet. Really, I'm jealous of you. I'd like to sit there and see everyone. Another very important point. If God forbid I fall into captivity, alive or dead, I'm not willing for a single soldier or civilian to be harmed because of some deal for my release. I don't allow you to run a campaign or struggle or anything like that. I'm not willing for terrorists to be released in exchange for me. In no way, shape, or deal. Please don't violate my words. I'll say it again. I left home without even being called up for my reserve duty. I am full of pride and a sense of mission. And I've always said that if I need to die, I hope it will be defense of others and for the country. Jerusalem, I have set my watchmen. May the day come when I'll be one of them. This letter rips at your heart, not just because a 22-year-old died in battle, because of what he writes, and specifically to us, as we sit here in relative safety in the diaspora, he writes that he is grateful to fight for us in battle. I am not asking you to volunteer for the Israel army. I am not even asking you to travel to Israel, although all of you should, and then kiss the ground, Rabbi. I am not even asking you to donate money to Israel, Jane F. or Magen David. I am just asking you to allot part of your investment dollars to Israel bonds, a safe and financially rewarding investment. No one needs to remind us that our history has been plagued with tragedy. We are defined by our survival and resilience. We have outlived every one of our enemies, from the ancient Egyptians and Philistines to the Nazis of Germany. And now we live during a time in which, for the first time in 2,000 years, our homeland, Israel, exists and thrives. After 2,000 years, the nation of Israel has been rebuilt, a one-of-its-kind story in the history of the world, and it's a tribute to Jewish action, survival, and faith. This is our time and our moment. We can't choose the world we live in, only the way we deal with it. We have the will, but we need the financial wherewithal, and your investment in Israel bonds gives Israel just that. We must embrace our responsibility as diaspora Jews and give Israel the financial strength it needs to survive. As we sit here, we are about to start the cycle of Jewish life again. Next week, we will once again start reading the Torah from the start. But last year, instead of a restart, there was, for some, a standstill. Instead of continuation, there was an abrupt ending. Instead of celebrations of a new year, there was one funeral, one shiva after another. For the hostages and their family, time has stopped. But yet we as Jewish people have never let our enemies stop us from moving forward as a people. Next week, we read the first chapter of Genesis. Once again, and we will hear the now famous words that God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and God separated light from darkness. Let there be light. I can't think of a declaration more intrepid or poignant for this year moving forward. No matter how viciously and violently anyone tries to sever the Jewish story, we keep writing another chapter. Let there be light has been our sacred mantra for thousands of years, and certainly since October 7th, as we try to find some optimism amid the anguish we live in. So many people have lived up to this mantra, whether by volunteering, donating, supporting displaced families, and of course supporting those soldiers fighting for Israel and us. So I ask you, have I spurred you into action? I hope I have, for the sake of not only Israel, but each one of us sitting here. Paula, Ari, Ben, Joel, and myself wish you a happy, healthy, joyful, and peaceful new year. May each one of you and all your loved ones be inscribed in the book of life this year and the years to come. L'shana Tova.
Thank you so much, David. Tonight really is all about God answering our prayers. And we take inspiration in the fact that God answered the prayers of our ancestors. Page 240, we'll sing Mi She'ana, may the one who answered our ancestors. Page 240.
מי שענה לשרה אמנו בזקנתה הוא יעננו. מי שענה לאברהם אבינו בהר המוריה הוא יעננו. מי שענה ליצחק בנם כשני קרא גבי המזבח הוא יעננו. מי שענה לרבקה בהריונה
משנה ליעקב בבית-אל הוא יעננו, משנה ללאה בעוניה הוא יעננו, משנה לרחל בצפונה הוא יעננו, משנה ליוסף בבית הסורים הוא יעננו, הוא יעננו, הוא יעננו, הוא יעננו, הוא יעננו.
מי שענה למילדות הבריות על הבנים הוא יעננו. מי שענה ליוכבד על שפת היאור הוא יעננו. מי שענה לאבותינו ולאמותינו על ים סוף הוא יעננו. מי שענה למשה בחורב הוא יעננו, הוא יעננו, הוא יעננו, הוא יעננו, הוא יעננו.
מי שענה למרים בבירה הוא יעננו, מי שענה לאהרון במחתה הוא יעננו, מי שענה לפנחס בקומו מתוך העדה הוא יעננו, מי שענה לבנות צלופחד בעומדן פתח אוהל מועד הוא יעננו, הוא יעננו, הוא יעננו, הוא יעננו, הוא יעננו.
מי שענה לכל הצדיקים והצדיקות הוא יעננו, והחסידים והחסידות והתמימים והתמימות והישרים והישרות והרחמנים והרחמניות הוא יעננו, הוא יעננו, הוא יעננו, הוא יעננו.
קדיש שלם 245.
יתגדל ויגדש שמי רבה,
אמן.
ויעמד יברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון ובימכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן.
אמן. יהי שמי רבא מבורך, לעולם לעולמיה יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח ויברך וידומה וינשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קדושה בריחו, לעילה לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירה מימיו אמרו אמן. תתקבל סלטון ובתהון לכל ישראל, קדם ובהון ומשמעיה אמרו אמן. יהי שמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום ממרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן. עלינו
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon ha'kol, latei gedula le'otzer reishit, shelo asanu kegei haratzon, velo samanu k'mishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol ha'avonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shehu noteh shamayim v'yosed haaretz, u'moshe v'karo b'shamayim imahal, u'shrinatu zo, b'govei meromim, hu Eloheinu eino, demet malkeinu efes ulato, kakatu betorato, וידעת היום, השבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה
אדוני אחד ושמו
The psalm for the season of repentance on 248, and then the mourner's Kaddish on 247.
אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני, אותה אבקש. אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני, אותה אבקש. שבתי בבית אדוני כל ימי חיי, לחזות בנועם אדוני, ולבקר בהיכלו. לחזות בנועם אדוני, ולבקר בהיכלו.
If you are saying Kaddish, I'll invite you to remain standing. Page 247. Yitgadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabba, ve'olma divra chirutei, ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yamechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'yimeru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach, le'olam u'lom e'omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal, shmei dekudesha b'richu. Leila, Leila, mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'olma v'yimeru amen. Yehei shlamar Rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. May we pray that the memory of all those you recall this evening remain as a blessing for you in life. I'm now going to call upon our president, Henry, for some greetings and announcements.
Shana Tova. I'm Henry Bloom, the president of the congregation. On behalf of the Board of Trustees and the officers of the congregation, I want to wish you a happy and healthy new year. We have a number of thank yous. First, I want to thank Linda and Bill Glassifer for sponsoring the beautiful Bima flowers in memory of their parents, Mildred and Sydney Spector, and Frida and Paul Glassifer. Thank you to Kenny Kavoris and Rebecca Galanter and the Security Committee and our high holiday ushers for all the planning and preparations to keep us safe during the holidays. Thank you to Danny Kamen, Men's Club and Sisterhood, for serving as our ushers and helping keep order in the sanctuary during services. Thank you to members of the High Holiday Honors Committee who made sure that everyone was in the right place at the right time. And thank you to our office and maintenance staff for all the hard work they put in during the weeks leading up to the holidays. We could not do any of this without them. And finally, thank you to Rabbi Eisenberg and Cantor Wallach for beautiful and meaningful high holiday services, to the members of the choir for enhancing our experience, and to everyone who participated and helped make these services special. Just a few announcements. Most of you are familiar with our monthly Erev Shabbat Live. During this holiday season, please mark your calendar for Erev Sukkot Live, which is actually this coming Wednesday, October 16th. It'll start at 5:30 with Bim Bam for families with young children, and a performance by the Bible Players for children grades K through 7 and adults. This will be followed by dinner in the sukkah for as many as can get in there, but we'll have plenty of space in the social hall for everyone. That'll start at 6:15. It's open to the entire congregation, and then services at 7:15. So dinner is free of charge, as always, but please sign up as soon as possible. We're actually past the deadline, so please sign up. But you can sign up still on Sunday. Please do that. On Sunday, October 20th, you were all invited to CBI's first annual Sukkah Hop. Celebrate by hopping between 6 different sukkahs in Millburn, in the South Mountain neighborhood of Millburn, before ending up with a big sukkah party at Rabbi Ari and Gila's home sukkah. The times and addresses will be provided in our CBI email next week. To mark October 7th, we invite you to services on Shmini Atzeret here at CBI on October 24th, which is the Yortzeit date of October 7th on the Hebrew calendar. During services that morning, we'll hold a special Yizkor ceremony to commemorate the date, to honor all of those who perished by saying Kaddish for them, and we will remember together. On Friday, October 25th, our high holiday season will end with Simchat Torah, a day of celebration. Join us in the morning at 9:30 a.m. to honor congregants for their service to the community. We will dance with our Torahs, read the very first chapter of the Torah from the beginning, and end with a festive communal Kiddush. Please note that registration for our preschool and BBRS religious school is still open to both members and to non-members. If you have friends and neighbors who may be interested, please send them our way. And finally, our annual High Holiday Appeal is underway. You all should have received a letter in the mail as well as an email. This is our most important fundraiser of the year and essential for the financial well-being of the synagogue. Thank you to all who have already made your pledge. For those who've not had a chance to do that yet, please do so, and please give as generously as you can. Wishing you a happy and healthy new year. Gamar Chatima Tova.
Thank you so much, Henry. I want to also remind you all that one of the most powerful aspects of Yom Kippur is the final hour, Ne'ilah. Tomorrow, the building will be open throughout the course of the day, and of course, we'll begin at 9 a.m., and we'll get to Yizkor at roughly 11 a.m. or so, and then a very moving Musaf. We'll have some classes here in the afternoon. David Gutstein will lead us in Mincha at 4:30. But then at 6 p.m., we begin Ne'ilah, the final hour, as the sun begins to set. And at 7:05, we will ignite the Havdalah flame and ceremony right here. Our Religious Affairs Committee got, what are they called for the kids? Oh, it's a surprise? Ugh, no one told me that. How can I sell it if it's a surprise? They have to come to see it? Ugh, I don't know. All right. Come back, bring your families, bring kids, all right? And we'll really embrace the final hour together tomorrow evening. We'll end right on time as we always do, and we'll hear that final blast of the shofar. So if you can make it back for the final hour tomorrow night, to be together in great number as the gates begin to close, there's nothing more moving and powerful than that. Let's conclude this evening with Yigdal, which we can find on page 250.
יגדל אלוהים חי וישתבח, נמצא בעיני אל מציאותו, אחד ואין יחיד כייחודו, נעלם וגם אין סוף לאחדותו, אין לו דמות הגוף ואינו גוף, לא נערוך אליו קדושתו, קדמון לכל דבר אשר נברא, ראשון ואין ראשית לראשיתו, הינו אדון עולם וכל נוצר, יורה גדולתו ומלכותו, שפע נבואתו נתנו אל אנשי סגולתו ותפארתו, לא קם בישראל כמו שעוד, מביט ומביט תמונתו, צופה ויודע סתרנו,
מביט לסוף דבר באדמתו,
גומל לאיש חסד כן יפעלו, נותן רשע כרישתו, ישלח לקץ ימין משיחנו, לפדות מחכה קץ ישועתו, מתים יחיה ברוב חסדו, ברוך הדיין שם תהילתו, מתים יחיה ברוב חסדו, ברוך הדיין שם תהילתו.
L'shana tova techatemu, may you all be sealed for a good year.